Thank you for joining us today on the Sisterhood Leadership Podcast with Dianne Wilson, recorded live from Orange County, California. If you'd like to subscribe, click on the link below, diannewilson.com, and we'll see you next week.
Hi, I'm Dianne Wilson. Welcome to our brand new Sisterhood Leadership Podcast. We've been meeting as a sisterhood for over 10 years, and recently we were talking amongst ourselves as leaders on what we could do in this very different season and very different era in the life of our church. 10 years ago, most of the women in our sisterhood were either not married yet, no kids, or they had grown kids and time. So we were able to meet every Friday morning. Well, recently I was looking at how many people were able to come on a Friday morning and how many weren't. And it just seemed like crazy for us to not make some changes so that we could reach more women and help more women develop in their leadership. So we're excited about this new leadership podcast, including different leaders every single week. We're having a conversation. There's going to be questions asked and answered. And my heart is to make everything practical, because leadership has got to apply to our real life, not just in theory. And so thanks for joining us. And we really hope that you enjoy this month as we focus on, of course, our Bible, which we love. We call it the Bible Book Club. And Bible in a year is amazing. This is my 17th year around the block. And of course, this month we're focusing on one of my resources, It's Time, and this is a leadership book. So thanks again for being with us and hope you enjoy. So this morning I have with me here Ansley Watson, and also known as Princess Ansley.
Yes.
So I gave you that nickname a really long time ago. Actually, I gave it to you so long ago. And I know you won't mind me sharing this.
No, yeah.
It took you a while to work yourself out as a leader.
Oh, yeah.
I've got to say, you are one of our strongest and most amazing leaders in sisterhood and in church. And it's not just me that loves you and thinks of you like that, but Jonathan does too.
Yeah.
But it took you a while to get there.
Yes.
You're like,
it did.
I like this mountain. I'm going one more lap around
One
the
more
mountain.
time.
Yeah. So I just remember always speaking to you like future and potential, and always calling you Princess Ansley when you had seasons where you weren't feeling it.
Even when I didn't think that was true anymore.
Yeah. And then you meet Anthony, and then you've had baby Timothy.
Yes.
Completely different season.
Yeah.
Super proud of you.
Thank you.
So we're talking about leadership, and you've been part of our sisterhood leadership for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And so what are we going to talk about today? Because I know there's always lots of things we can talk about.
A lot, yeah. So I wanted to talk about I'm coming out of a season of being in full-time ministry, and now I'm coming into a season of full-time motherhood while still doing the ministry part of it. So working out what that looks like. But the questions that I kind of had were centered around ministry and as a woman in leadership, and how we can maybe solve some of those problems, or just kind of talk more around some of the issues that come up.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about chapter number 5 out of It's Time. It's the assets and liabilities chapter. So
right. Great title. I have no idea where that came from.
So good. So you talk about 10 ministry assets and then 10 ministry liabilities.
Gotcha.
And so I was reading through them and thinking of lots of examples in my own life and in my friends' lives. But the first one I kind of wanted to ask you about was a ministry liability, and it's number 2. It's when we people please and catering to public opinion. And I was just thinking about all the meetings I've sat in when we're trying to make decisions about a ministry or a direction we're going to go, or rolling something out that's new. And the question always comes up of, what is the congregation going to think about it? What is this small group going to think about it? What's my life group going to think about if we change the date and time? Or all those little things that, as you're navigating, moving the ministry forward and making decisions, how do you not get caught in the people-pleasing aspect of it?
Oh, wow. It's really important to make sure you don't. But here's my theory, is if we live to please God, we will always please the right people. And then there are people who, wouldn't matter what we did, they will always be the hardest ones to please. And I think if we just focus on doing the right thing, making sure that our, the pattern of our decision making is based on the Bible, because there's obvious leadership patterns in there, discipleship patterns, small group patterns, big group patterns. And so just looking and saying, okay, what worked for Jesus?
Yeah.
And
good.
He was not a people pleaser. He actually just did the will of his Father, and was the kindest man on planet Earth. Healed the sick and released the oppressed. That there were people that were always on him to do what they thought was better, and they were the religious folk.
Yeah.
So our phone has rung early in the morning. Certain people, they want to let us know what we should change and what we should do. And last time we checked, they had a completely different career path and had never had any experience in ministry, but they just wanted it to fit with what they saw an ideal would be for their family. And so we listen to people, and of course, if there's a new idea to be had, we want to know, and we love to work collaboratively. But it doesn't matter if you do something for the most amount of people, there are still going to be some who aren't going to be happy.
Fringes, yeah.
It's like, how many services should you have? Or should you do a Friday night women's meeting? Should you do a Friday morning mum's Bible study? I mean, we have tried all of it, and we're in a different season right now, fully transitioning, which is why we're doing this Sisterhood Leadership podcast right now, because we had to make changes. And I wanted to be able to reach as many of our sisterhood women as possible, and their friends, and anyone else joining in, you're welcome. But to do that, I had to just make a lot of changes. And so we don't do our Friday morning gathering that we did for 11 years. Yeah. And so some people were unhappy with that, and which is nice because they miss it. Yeah. It's better than we don't want to go.
But
I just think it's really important to keep your eyes on Jesus. This is his, we're building his kingdom, and people will come along and make us feel like we're obliged to, we're after love, not like as leaders. You got to think about it. Not everyone's going to like you, but you just want them to understand that we are doing our best and we love them. Yeah,
and they're not going to see the hours and the days that you spend going back and forth over a decision and to change one little thing in a curriculum or in the operations of how something looks. But you, at the end of the day, that by and large your congregation knows that you love them. Yep. And so that needs to be enough.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, and so good. I was thinking about, because you've always been involved, even when you were working yourself out.
Yes,
And it was like watching Ansley's life, serving God, but on the struggle bus in some other areas, and watching how, I just love this Cinderella season. Yeah. Because Anthony, oh my gosh, she's amazing. And all of a sudden you're married. That was super, well, not quick, but it wasn't like a 5-year engagement.
Praise
it was
the Lord,
you were the eternal single girl. Yeah. With all the single girls kind of where is he? When is he coming? I remember those conversations. The next thing, Prince Charming. Yeah. 5 minutes later, baby. I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay. And here you are. And now for you to hop back in serving, because you've been doing it for so long and you're so good at it, big capacity. But now you've got a little baby and this is your first child. This is now very different for you. So what are you doing?
I'm nursing a lot. All you nursing moms watching out there, I have a whole new respect for nursing a child. I was blessed with a child who loves to eat. Yes. So that's special. Trying to figure out okay, when am I gonna just even do the little things now around my house, and then beyond that, use my brain and use my heart and the things I'm passionate about, and figuring out. So I think right now I'm figuring out how to just make day-to-day stuff happen again.
Well, here's the thing too. It makes you really efficient, because all you're thinking about is when's the next feed, because exactly I've got 30 seconds or whatever to.
No, you should have seen how fast I got out of the car last night trying to get into Nordstrom to buy the thing that I've been needing to buy for a really long time to make it happen. He's still sleeping, and I whipped out of the car, whipped the stroller open, threw the car seat in a nice pace for the baby, but just made it all happen and got inside, bought the thing, and then he woke up and it was awesome. I was so proud of just making it happen and getting efficient at.
Yeah, good girl. I love watching this season in your life, all the seasons. But here's the thing, Timothy's how old now?
9 weeks.
9 weeks, great. and then he's going to be 19. So let's not think about that and cry.
Yeah, flying airplanes or something crazy.
But I'm so I love the motherhood season, and I'm a big endorser of it. And Jonathan and I, as leaders and as bosses, to just really make sure that our team know that it's a very small, very short, and a very important season, and to not feel like you're missing anything. Because you didn't have a lobotomy.
I don't think so.
You're good.
Feels like it sometimes.
Like you've still got a brain. It's a bit foggy. Baby brain, Ansley. It'll come back, and it's really important that we stay focused on our purpose. And our purpose for this season, it might be a little one, but it's not. He is not your life's ministry.
And I think it's important that the word that I'm kind of thinking of is staying engaged. So I might not be sitting on the front row like I was a couple months ago, but I might be sitting in the mother's room, or I might be standing up the back.
Let me just say that if you were in West Africa, you would be on the front row feeding, nursing your baby. That's a true story. Been there.
I would.
Okay, keep talking.
Totally. So just to stay engaged, that even if it looks different, that I don't have to be different in my heart, that I can still move forward with the stuff that I'm passionate about, and move forward with the areas of church life and serving. It just might not. My time allocation's different, but just staying engaged, I think, is the big thing, and not letting myself kind of get into a hole of
no cave dwelling for you. That's right. And I think too, I know for some of you who might be watching now, maybe you felt maybe isolated, and also potentially even alienated in this season, because as soon as you had a baby, it's like you got looked over. Or, people moved on to other people, and it's like, okay, but I'm still I'm still a leader just because I had a baby. And I love seeing our girls totally embracing and loving the season, but also having the ability to stay focused on what the purpose is, because Timothy needs mummy to have a purpose. Timothy, when he's 19, he cannot be your purpose. He'll be like, oh, please.
And even now, he needs a happy mom. Like, he feeds on where I'm at and what I'm feeling. I see that so clearly, and I need to focus on what fills my cup up as well. And for me, that's God and his house. So if I'm not engaging in that as a new mom, I'm not going to be who I need to be for him. I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to be at peace. And that's really important to me.
That's awesome. Okay, so you've been around long enough with me. What is one funny mistake you made that you will never forget, and it affected a lot of people?
The first thing I think of is leading a team at church, like a volunteer team. I'm one of those people that's really invigorated by the task, which can get me into trouble with my communication to other people, because I find a lot of fulfillment in, I did the task, I did it well, and I feel great, and I didn't want the pat on the back or need the pat on the back to feel like I did a good job, because I know I did, and so I'm happy. And I was given leadership over one of our volunteer teams at church several years ago, and was co-leading it with somebody, and I started leading people the way that I liked to be led, instead of getting to know the girls on the team and understanding how they needed to be led, and maybe having a little bit of a lighter touch, or maybe being more communicative, maybe saying some of the things out loud that I was thinking instead of just thinking them. I remember thinking
them and not saying them.
But I remember thinking, oh, that person did such a great job, but never saying it to them. Like, oh, that looked awesome, but never saying it out loud. And so they do the task, and I go, okay, great, and I walk away, and they're like, what's going on? Like, did I not do a good job? And there was one time I found out later that I'd made somebody cry. Like, she was so upset because she thought that I thought she was a flake and doing things wrong. And so I had to kind of go back to basics with, I think I'm a good communicator, but if I'm getting this result, then I'm not actually a good communicator yet, and I need to learn. And
I reckon that's like leadership wisdom right there, that you did not also fall into that pile. So she's crying, and then somebody like let you know that, and then you didn't start crying. You just
cry.
But you fixed it, and that's the thing. And you were our PA up until you had the baby, and I remember when it was suggested, because our last PA had a baby, like everyone has babies around here, we're like the Hebrew women, like churning them out. So I remember when it was suggested to talk to you about that role, I'm like, okay, because you were not in my like right here.
Yeah.
Not for any, but it's just a secretarial role, this is a PA role. And then I thought, she would be actually really, really, really cool. And then I said this to the person who had suggested, I said, but she's a cutter.
Yes, I am.
We know what that means.
Yeah.
Not this. No. That she's really black and white, and that's the way she marches, and that's the way she rolls. And I just don't like, is she going to be okay in her communication? And I've got to say, it was so refreshing having you with us for the season that you were with us, because we actually needed somebody who was clear on what they were doing, somebody who was not going to get distracted, someone who was not emotional.
Yeah.
It's not that you're not sensitive, and it's not that you don't still cry, but you had the maturity and the ability to just say, let's just get the job done. And we needed that. And Jonathan loved nothing like when your PA just cries all the time because they're emotional. Like he can't handle it.
No.
And it's like,
most men can't.
Anyway, so that was a really good season for us. And we're a bit jealous because Timothy gets you all day long now, but that's awesome. So I know that your future is bright, and whatever you put your hand to, you're going to do. But I'm just super thrilled to have you back in the mix 9 weeks later, and you're going to be leading a bunch of our new interns. And I know you don't even know what that means yet.
Yeah, it's fine.
I think we're just going to make it up as we go along.
Yeah, I think most of leadership.
But your
like
leadership
that.
is what we need. That's what we need more than anything else. And I feel like, we did have a chat before we started recording on how do you disciple people in this season when you just don't have the same time. And I think if we get back to the relational factor, if we maintain the relationship and it's healthy, then it doesn't require a lot of time in every season. And anyone who you have a relationship with, who knows you and loves you, obviously knows you've got a baby. So the expectation, you're not going to say, okay, Timothy, I've got to go and have a 6-hour coffee with this girl to talk about the same issue she's had for the last 6 months because she won't do anything I suggested would help her life. Okay, you're not going to do that. So basically discipleship, when in this age and stage for you, would require somebody to jump into your life. And any mentors worth following don't have like 6 hours and all this time of every single week. So people worth following and people worth investing into your life are usually the busiest ones. So it's our responsibility to avail ourselves and work with whatever season they're at so that we can glean really wisdom and leadership. So
that takes the pressure off a little bit as well. Like I think about you in my life, somebody like you've discipled me, but we've never just sat and had a cup of tea together. You've made me a lot of cup of teas at your house, but we've also been doing something at the same time or working on something. And that actually takes the pressure off for me to feel like I don't need to have it all together. I don't need to have set times where I can meet with people or, show them the A, B's, and C's, but they can actually just come alongside me and we can just do it together.
Totally.
That's really helpful.
Yeah, I love that. I love you, and we can have a cup of tea and do lots of things. We're both as bad as each other. We like to be busy. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. So we're up on time now.
Okay, cool.
So next time you come back and we say hi to everyone, we'll talk about what it's like to have a baby that's older than 9 weeks because it changes all the time.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So thanks.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining us today on the Sistered Leadership Podcast with Dianne Wilson, recorded live from Orange County, California. If you'd like to subscribe, click on the link below, diannewilson.com, and we'll see you next week.